Jamel, you want to turn it down? Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Newell with System Surveyor. I'd like to welcome you to today's new user orientation. Thank you for joining us. Man, we've had a really great registration amount for this webinar. I think we've got some new yeah, we've got some new names, some old names. It's great to have you guys here. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Please note that we've had a really great registration for this. So all of our participants are placed on mute, but at any time during the session, feel free to use the Q&A icon in the Zoom webinar interface and add your questions there, and we'll address all questions usually at the end. Hopefully we'll have enough time to touch on every question, but if not, we'll definitely follow up with you guys following the webinar. Also, we are recording this webinar. Look for an email from us, usually by the end of the day with the recording. So if you miss a part or need to share with a colleague, you will be receiving the recording. And with that, I'd like to introduce my partner in crime today, Jamal. Jamal is our customer success manager. Some of you probably already know him. Hey, Jamal, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Well, nice to be doing a webinar with you all again. I know it's been a minute.
Definitely has. Well, I'll turn it over to you, Jamal.
Absolutely. Thank you, Laura. Um, so let's go over what we're doing today. So today we'll start on our mobile tablet app, go over some things on there, as well as an overview from the web browser. And then we'll talk about collaborating and guest users. And then, of course, as usual, for those of you that have been to one of these before, we will have a Q&A session at the end. So look forward to it. I know these are very useful, and we have a lot of great information to cover today. So let's start with, what is System Surveyor? System Surveyor is a leading software platform for site surveys, system design, and life cycle management. The components of System Surveyor are a cloud-based web application with a companion mobile tablet app to allow for easy sync from field to office. That way you can continue your work and do the best work that you can. This is a glimpse into what the System Surveyor cloud software looks like. So as you can see, you can use the tablet app to do your surveys in the field, whether that's remote or at a customer site, and you can work offline. And then what you can do is sync that up to the AWS System Surveyor Cloud, which will then allow you to access it either via Wi-Fi and web browser, either at your office, from home. Maybe you're at a WeWork. You can access it all at systemsurveyor.com when you log in. And so now, and what we'll do is we'll hop in to do the tablet app overview. So let me switch screens here. So bear with me just a moment. First one of the year might be a little bit rough, but we've got it all figured out. And there we go. So now you
Sure
should be
do.
looking at the System Surveyor 2.0 app. So what you'll see when you first log into System Surveyor 2.0 app is a favorites list and an all sites list. And that your favorites will be what you have on your site list on the web app, and your all sites will be all sites that you have that are on your System Surveyor account, as well as any sites that you've been invited to as a guest. Just real quick, I want to go over something that is new to the app. So for those of you that have used the app before, if you click on account under device options, we do have the ability to disable the auto sync globally on your app. As well as you can save your photos to the camera roll, something that I always recommend people turn on, just in case, technology, well, we want it to do one thing, it doesn't always work that way. So I always recommend keeping that turned on. So let's say you have a site on your all list and your all sites list, and you want to move it to your favorites. To do that, you simply move over to your all sites, and we can go ahead and star one, and boom, it's moved over to our favorite site now. And then, of course, we can just unstar it to get it moved back. To create a site, what you'll do is hit that plus in the bottom right-hand corner, and this will pop up this little menu here for you here, where you can both create a new folder, which will allow you to store sites into that folder on the web app, and you can also create a new site. So if you create a new site, you're going to get this little window here. You can give it a name, which is the only thing that is required. And then, an address, all the details that you might want to know exactly where that site is. And then at the bottom, you'll see team and folder. One thing I always like to point out is just double checking if you are a part of multiple teams that you have the correct team selected on that team section, just so that way you can ensure that the site is created on the right team. Of course, if you forget to do that, and you can always reach out to our support team and we can do a site transfer. But doing that double check will just make sure you save some time. So now we'll go into our new user webinar site that we have here. And when you are in that site, this is what we call the site level. So what you'll have is the edit info, which if you're the creator of the site, that will allow you to edit that site's information, so change that site name, maybe the project name change, anything like that. You can do that. You'll have the search, which will allow you to search for your different surveys on the site. The refresh, which will allow you to pull any new surveys that were created on the web down to your tablet app. And this three dots will allow you to send a link of that site, which we'll discuss more later on when we talk about collaboration and guest users. To create a survey on the 2.0 app, you'll hit that plus in the bottom right-hand corner, and that will pop up this little menu here, very similar to when you're on your sites list. You can create a site level folder, as well as just creating a survey. So we'll hit that create survey. This is what you see when you hit that new survey button. You'll have the ability to select from these 5 different options here. So of course we have photo gallery, which is going to use your tablet's photo app to select a photo that you might have there of your floor plan. A camera is going to allow you to take a picture of a floor plan. Whether if you only have a physical copy and you need it in the app, you can use the camera to take a picture. Maybe you need to take a picture of a fire escape plan, anything like that. The satellite image is going to allow you to search Google Earth so you'll put in an address, and you will need to be connected to the internet for that. For the other options, you won't need to, but for the satellite image, you can put in an address and get a satellite view of a location. So if you're doing an outside walk of a site, you can use that. Local files will use your tablet's local files. So if your iPad or Android device is connected to maybe your Google Cloud, your Google Drive, your Dropbox, anything like that, you can pull those floor plans that you might have in there into the app via the local files. You also have the ability to do quick start, which is going to give you a blank canvas and allow you to get right in to start your survey. So I'll select this photo gallery here and import a floor plan. So I have one here that I can use. And once you select your floor plan, what you'll do is be able to crop that floor plan. You'll be able to rotate it using those buttons on the right-hand side that you see here. So maybe if it's not facing the right direction, you can rotate it as you need. Then once you hit next, you'll be able to set your scale, and you can set your scale just by dragging this blue line here. You can drag each endpoint to anything that you know the measurement of. And of course, if you press in the middle, you'll be able to just move the line itself. Once you have it set to exactly what you're trying to measure, you'll be all set, and you can fill in using the set distance. You can either use a plus or minus or tap into that box to type it in yourself. And this is also where you can set that element icon size initially for your survey. So if they're a bit small, you can make them bigger. From here, I also want to point out you'll want to use anything that you know the measurement of, because you'll want this to be as accurate as possible, because both the cameras and sensors that have area of coverages will be using that measurement for your area of coverage. So just something to keep note of. And it can be as small or as big as anything that you know the measurement of. So if you only know, you don't know the measurement of anything, you have some doors on there, feel free to use those, since those are pretty universal in their size. But once you have that set, you can hit next. And once you're in the next section, you do have the ability to name your survey. So we can go ahead and give it a name of today's date, just so we can be organized here, and as well as an address, city, all of that good information. So you have as much information about your survey as possible. You can also select a folder. If this is maybe for a building 2, floor 2, you can drop it right into that specific folder. And we do have the ability to turn on autosync for a specific survey. So even though it's off globally, you can turn that on for a specific survey here. And once you hit next, it's going to take you into the survey itself. And so once you're in the survey, what you'll see is the system types on the left-hand side, which, of course, as you can see, video surveillance, access control, intrusion detection, they all have their own elements that are a part of those system types. And what you'll also see is this search elements on the 2.0 app so that you can quickly find the exact element that you're looking for. So maybe I want to drop a fixed camera on here, so I can just type in fixed. And now when I open up the video surveillance, the only thing showing is that fixed camera. And it is just a drag and drop. So I can just drag this fixed camera right on over, place it to where I want it to be. And as you see, once you place it, especially with the cameras, you'll then get that area of coverage toolbar that you see along the top. And you can manipulate the area of coverage just manually here just by rotating it, making it bigger, making it wider. And what you'll also be able to do is along this toolbar, you can go ahead and type in the depth that you want for that area of coverage, as well as the angle. And then to the left of that, you'll be able to change the color of that area of coverage. So if you want it to be a different color, you can do that, as well as set the transparencies. Maybe you want it to be a little bit less transparency, or maybe you want it to be more. You can do that from that menu there. To the left of that, you'll be able to, you'll see that camera, and that will allow you to take a picture and add that picture directly to that element. So if I were to just take this picture here, and then take a picture of this corner in my office here, hit the use photo, and then what it will be is the ability to add annotations to this photo that we just took, as well as if I'd like on the 2.0 app, you can drag in a smaller version of your element so that you can show exactly where you want that element to be placed in the photo. So very helpful there. And then of course, if you don't want that, you can just use the delete button there. And then of course, as you can see, we have tons of different annotations that you can make so that way you can get as much information as you need on that photo. Once you hit save, it's then going to take you back to your survey. And then what you'll see is we have a camera with a little 1 on there. And that's just letting us know that this element has 1 photo attached to it. And you can also see that by, if I were to select this element, so now I have selected it, and I have the element toolbar. From here, you can change the install status, just using that little menu. So I can say it's proposed, I can say it's in place. You can change the element color, and then to the left of the element color, that's how you tap that, and it's going to bring up that area of coverage for you once again. And to the left of that, we have the ability to duplicate, which is a great feature for systems with System Surveyor, especially if you're placing multiple elements, multiple cameras. You can just duplicate that out, and now you have a brand new element. You can drag it to where you need it to be. And then if I wanted to go right back into that area of coverage to make those adjustments, I can do that here. And then I'll select this first element once again. And then, so next to duplicate to the left, you'll have that camera element, and then, or that camera, so you could take a picture. And to the left of that is the pencil to open up the element information or the element attributes. And this is where you're going to put in all the specific information for that specific device. So as you can see, there's that photo that we took. It's attached directly to that element. And as we scroll, we can fill out all of that information for the element itself. So whether I want to fill out the component manufacturer, the component model number, the device price, I can do all of that from this little window here. And as I keep scrolling, it's going to take me to all the different tabs that I have on this left-hand side. So I have the installation information, the functional information, maintenance, configuration, accessories, notes. I can just scroll through, or I can just tap and go to right where I want to be. So once I hit done, I'm now back to place an element. Another of our elements, some of you may know, some of you may not. We have elements that we like to call containers. And those are symbolized by a slight border around them. Might be a bit hard to see. I know the iPad is a smaller screen, so I'll just drag this single door onto my floor plan, and then I'll zoom in so that we can see that border in greater detail. And container elements are just like how they sound. Um, they are going to allow you to place other elements inside of them. So if I wanted to have, an electronic lock set, a card reader on this door, instead of placing them just around the door, what I can do is I can drag this card reader and place it right inside of that container. Same with the electronic lock. So now it looks much cleaner as opposed to having just, a ton of elements around that door, making it nice and crowded. You want to keep it nice and clean for your customers here. And so if I wanted to select this element, one thing you'll notice that is different for the containers as opposed to regular elements is going to be the containers will have a sort of number that matches the color of the container. And that's just to let you know how many sub elements the container has. And if we also tap it, it'll bring up that the sub element list for us. The next thing I want to point out really quickly is going to be the infrastructure. We have the cable path. So we have a regular cable path and a flex cable path. So I'll just drop an equipment rack in that little server room there. And here is the regular cable path. You can move it up and down, left and right. It's functional, but sometimes you want to change the path of that cable path because you don't need it to be so rigid. So what we can do is I'll select it. I tap that little trash can to delete the element, and then I can drag and drop this cable path right onto the floor plan. And this is our flex cable path. So as I connect the two different elements with the flexible path, the more that you manipulate it, the more points of contact you'll get to manipulate that cable path. So I can really add all types of bins into that cable path. And then if I go into, so if I hit that pencil and then the lines, I go right into the element information. And with the cable pass, if you're on our scale plan or above, you will have the ability to get cable path measurements on the functional tab. So if I click that functional tab, it's going to tell me my total length for this cable path is 162 feet. And that's using the scale that you set when you created the survey. So very important there. And then if you wanted to add cables to this cable path, you just hit that add cable, select your cable type, and we have a list here that you can choose from, and that will go on the cable path and be available on the cable path reports, which we'll talk about when we switch over to the web app. So I'll hit done here, and really quickly before we make the switch, I just want to talk about some of the options that you see here on your screen. So you have, of course, your drawing tools. So if you need to make annotations to your survey, you can do that via the drawing tools. You have your element info, so I can just tap that element info and I can select my element, just find out that information. And then, of course, your survey info. So if you wanted to make changes to the survey name, add a location in there, you can do that via editing that information. And then you have also your release edit button. And that's going to be important because in System Surveyor, only one person can edit a survey at a time. So if maybe your coworker or needs to get access to that, you will have to release the edit before someone else can go in and claim it and begin working on that survey. Along the top here, what you'll see is the back button, of course, and then we'll also have the filters right to the right of the back button. So if I tap those filters, this is where I can go and turn off the AOCs. Maybe I don't want to see those right now. Turn off those element IDs. I can filter by system types. Maybe I want to focus on that video surveillance. I can turn off those access control and infrastructures just by doing that and then bring them right back. Same with the installation status. I can focus on what's in place versus proposed. And then we also have a search. So when you're doing a survey, you might have 50 plus elements on here. It'd be very hard to, not hard, but to save you some time, you can search exactly for the element you're looking for rather than trying to cycle through and find it as quick as you can. To the right of that, we have our budget estimator. That's going to give you your budget estimator range, taking into account your labor rates, which I'll show you where to set that when we switch over to the web, your device price, how many install hours it takes, how many devices you have, and gives you that sort of range that you have so you can know exactly about the range for the cost of your project. You have the save button, which I'll hit now since it never hurts to save, so you can make sure you keep your work done editing. And then this three dots right here is going to bring up this little menu, which is going to allow you to export this survey as a PDF, send a link, which will allow you to, I'll tap it here, which will allow me to type in someone's email, set an expiration date, send them a secure link with a passcode so that they can access a read-only version of my survey. And then you also have the set scale. So if you need to reset your scale, you can do that from this menu. Same with your crop. You have the replace floor plan, which is going to allow you to take you through the process of starting a survey. And it's going to take that new floor plan that you created and slide it right underneath your elements. So very important that you keep that scale the same so that your elements don't move and change. And then, of course, you can reset your element colors. This is also where you'll be able to change your element icon size and change the global AOC transparency as well. From here, I'll hit this done editing. And then I'll go back out to the site level. And then we'll make the switch over to the web app to go over some of the things on there. So let me make this change here
While you're
and
doing that,
share.
Jamel, I'll
Mm-hmm.
just, oh, you're perfect. That didn't take long at all. We do have some questions. Thank you guys for your patience. We'll address those in just a minute.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I'm right back in the swing. It's been a minute since our last one, but clearly I'm much better at adjusting than I thought. So when you sign into System Surveyor on the web app, this is what you'll see. So you'll have your site list, which will allow you to add sites, and then you'll also have your library. So let's say you need to go look at a survey for someone, and you don't see that site. You can always check your library here, and this will show you all of the sites that are on your System Surveyor account, whether that is a site that someone else created, or maybe it's a site you created and you turned it off previously. To add a site that you see in your library to your site list, what you can do is just simply hit this button right here. So just check it off and hit done. And now it's added. And then you can do that same process to remove it. So it's always going to be important to keep this pretty clean. So that way you're focusing on exactly what you're working on currently. If you are an admin or an account admin, you'll see this manage library and dashboard buttons as well. To add a site on the web, it is going to just be this add site, and then you give it a name, fill out all that information, and then you can hit create. So now what we'll do is we'll go into the site to show some of the site level information on the web. And actually before that, we'll go in and create a new survey on the web just so you can see the different options on this web. So on the web, what you'll have is local resource, which is just photo or PDF from your computer's files. Camera, take a photo. You have a web camera, you can take a photo using your web camera. Quick Start is going to give you a blank canvas, and then Google Maps, which is just like getting that satellite image from the tablet app. That's going to allow you to put in an address and get that external view of a location. And then I'm going to go in and select one of my local files here, just because the selecting the cropping and setting the scale are different than on the web. So here, it's not going to take you right to the screen. As you can see, you will have to hit this crop and set scale. So you hit crop, it's going to take you to crop your survey, and then the rotate is just right there at the bottom. So as you can see, I rotate this all around, and now it's set. I hit the check mark, and then to set your scale, you'll have a red line instead of the blue one, and it is just you manipulate each end, and you get that measurement just right. And once it's set, you hit set, and now you can put in your measurement. And this is also where you can go to change that element icon size. And then you hit save. And then once again, we can come in and give this a name. And then We can also give it a location address, a description, a survey label, and then once again, this default main site dashboard is where you can use the dropdown to select a specific folder. Once you hit save, it's going to take you in to create your survey, and this does look different than on the tablet app. So we do have our drop downs here for our different system types, so we can go and find the specific element that we're looking for. And one thing to note is you'll see we don't have this search function on the web just yet. That is coming later in Q1. We are making that transition to get those features onto the web app. That'll be later in Q1 for us. But it is still just a drag and drop. So I can drag this fixed camera and say, oh, I want this right in the lobby here. And then what you'll see is you have this camera advisor that you didn't have on the tablet app. And the camera advisor is just to give you sort of suggestions for how powerful you need this camera to be to do the specific job that you have selected. That's how I like to refer to it. So it's just easier to think about it that way. So you have your general surveillance, your detection, your recognition, and your identification. And as you notice, each one has a different required resolution, but it also is going to be different as you manipulate that area of coverage. So if I drag this out, as you can see, it's now 6, and that's 3. But if I make it a little bit smaller, drop down to 2. So that will be very helpful on the web to know exactly, how powerful a camera needs to be. And from here, I can go right into the attributes. And this is what the attributes or element information will look like on the web app. You'll have your name, your installation, your functional, your maintenance, your configuration. You have an activity log on the web that you don't have on the tablet app just yet. But this is where you can add any logs of things that you've done for the day. And then, of course, your accessories. And then you'll also have this element profile dropdown, which is System Surveyor. We have element profiles that you can import from via either our partner page that we have, or you can create them if you are an admin or an account admin or a team admin. You do have on this dropdown, you'll see this save current as element profile, and that will allow you to save the current information you have as the element profile to create either a brand new one or overwrite an existing element. You can still, of course, add images to elements. So if I hit this add image, that will allow me to go through and go through my files and select images. I can also add a PDF. I can also add a web link. Excuse me. And what you'll see is if I go in here and select an element profile, it's very important that you make those element profiles you create as descriptive as possible so that I can say, I want Hanwha. That's going to bring up all my Hanwhas that I have. And then I can just select one. So I can say, I want this 2 megapixel. And with our partner element profiles, a lot of them have URL links to series manuals, spec sheets. So those are very helpful. So you have the appropriate information for that element. But also, as you can see, the element profile brought in very crucial information for my element here. So if I go to the functional tab, it's got that all filled out for me. And even for this one, it has accessories associated with it as well. So it brought those in. So I can say, oh, well, this is going to go on a ceiling, so I don't really need that wall mount. I can get rid of it. So very helpful there. You do still have along the edges. Well, before we talk about that, I also want to show you do have the attributes here. So you do have a little toolbar here, so you can go right back into that coverage menu. And if you want to change that, you can do that here. And then you can still duplicate. So if I duplicate, what you'll notice is it did bring over that element profile for me. So if I wanted to use the same cameras throughout, I can just duplicate them and use them and place them wherever I need them to be. And then I can also zoom in using my scroll wheel. You can use these plus and minus to zoom out if you need to. We do have the dollar sign. So this is going to be your estimated budget range that you see that we saw on the tablet app. And then also we do still have the, we do still have the annotations that we see here. So I can still click, it's going to be a click and drag. So I can just click and drag, create a square. I can create a text box, but the text box will be the color. The text will be the color that you have selected. So if I select that black, now my text will be black. I can put in a little notice there if I'd like. And if I wanted to make that bigger, I am just going to be using that plus or minus there. And I can hit done. And now I'm back on the survey. And to get to those filters that we saw on the tablet app, you can just select these sort of the stack of squares here, and that's going to bring up your filter. So I can remove that annotation layer, bring those right back. This is also where you'll have your global transparency. So if you want to change the transparency for multiple elements at a time, this is how you do that. And then in this pencil is where you'll have the edit survey option. So you'll have the ability to reset your scale, replace your floor plan, and change your element icon size. On the web app, you'll also have the ability to add comments. So I can add a comment, and you also can add people in your comments. So very helpful for that collaboration that we mentioned in these slides. So I can add Laura and say, and then if I hit send, and as long as Laura has her email notifications turned on for comments, she'll get an email letting her know that she's been mentioned in a comment. And so that way we can collaborate and I'll know that she has seen that, and then I can wait for her response. Or maybe I sent it before we had a meeting and she's going to let me know in the meeting.
Yep, just
And then of
got it.
course, perfect. And then of course you do have your save here. So I'll go ahead and hit save. And I do real quick while we're here, I want to talk about the element profiles with containers. So as you can see, I know it might be a little bit hard since it's a very slight border, but that was a container that I dragged on here. So one thing that you can do, just use taking advantage of those element profiles, is if I go into the attributes here, I can select one of these packages that I created using element profiles and containers, because they have a sub element section that you can add those sub elements in. So I can say, oh yeah, I want to use this inside door package. And as you can see, it brought in those specific elements that I needed. And because I have default set, I have element profile selected for some of these already. So one thing I always like to just point out as a neat little thing, neat little time saver to help you build those out and give you guys an idea of what those will look like. So now I'll save this and we'll back out of this survey overview to go to the survey overview. So on the screen here, you do have that edit survey, that release edit. And what you'll also have, if you are on our scale or above plan, you will be able to export this data to Excel to do bulk changes to your elements. If not, you'll still be able to use that button to send a link. So just like on the tablet app, you can put in someone's email address, set an expiration date, and send them an email with a secure link and a passcode to help with some of that collaboration. And it will be in a read-only state, so they can go in and click on things, but they won't be able to make changes. And then, of course, you do have the filters again, your best estimated budget range, and then that search. You also can cycle through to see the project information, so you can set some of that project information up here. And then, of course, we do have reports on the survey level. So you have the classic reports, which you can go through and build out different reports. So maybe you want to include the summary, the layout, the totals, the cable path, and the element detail. You can have that in one report, as we also have the enhanced reports, which is a bill of materials, a photo tour, a floor plan with the legend, and then the cable path. And if you are on our scale plan or above, we do have Excel exports as well. So you can export the element details to, or the element data to Excel, bill of materials in Excel, the cable path to Excel. And if you do create one of those will be on this created report section here. So that's where you find them. So what you'll do is if you create one, you'll get a little green box that says success. I'll show you just a little example here. If I export, I got that well done. And now if I go to my created reports, it's right there for me. So now as we back out to the site level, so here we are at the site level. And on this site level, just to talk about some of the things that is different from the tablet app. What you'll have, of course, is this, you'll hit this pencil to edit that site information. And this is also, you sort of can toggle the site into active or inactive. You have your contacts, which goes into a little bit of that collaboration and guest users that we talked about. So you can hit this pencil and hit new to create a new contact. You just need their name, last name, and email address. And then use this toggle if you're on our scale or above plan. You can toggle this on to invite them as a guest user, where you can either give them either edit, which just like it says, they can edit things, or read only permissions. And then also set an expiration date, even a custom date. So very helpful if you're wanting to work with, maybe want to bring in your customers so that they can take a look at things, or maybe you have subcontractors or field techs that you like to get in here that don't necessarily have licenses. but you need them to be able to come in and take a look at things. The guest users is a great feature to take advantage of. So if I close this, you also have your team permissions for your site. So you can come in and set team permissions. So everyone that's on your team, you can, say, hey, then come in and read this, or then come in and edit this. And then, of course, you have admins, and the site creator will be here under individual exceptions. And then you can add an exception. Maybe you have one of your team members that you work with all the time, and you need them to come in and take over for you. Maybe you're out on vacation or anything like that. So very helpful in collaborating that way, especially if you have this set to read only. Up at the top here, you have the ability to turn this into sort of a list view, or right back to the sort of picture preview. You do have this ability to release all edits, and that is only going to release your edits. So it's not like if me and Laura were on this site and she has some surveys that she is in charge of. If I hit that release edit, it will not release her edits, only mine. You have the new folder to create a new folder. Your site level reports. So just like at the survey level, you have your classic, enhanced, and Excel site level reports where you can select multiple surveys and include them into one report. Those will always appear under this created reports area here. So if we go back out, you do have menus for each little survey here. So we have these little 3 dots on this survey. And what I can do is if I select that, I have the ability to archive. So if I am taking advantage of this duplicate feature and I'm creating different versions of surveys, I may want to archive an older version. I can release my survey edit, send a link from this menu, as well as copy and move. So maybe I need to move this to another site. This is how I would do it. If you're an admin, you will have this revoke survey edit and delete options here. And then if I wanted to see my archive surveys, it's just this toggle here. So now I can untoggle that and I'm right back out. So now we'll take one more step back, go right back to the site level or to the all sites list here. And as I said, you have your managed library. If you are an admin, your library is where you have all of your sites on your account. So you can add those to your view here. And then if you click this button here, it's going to go into the manage team section, or it's going to open up this little profile here, and it's going to go to manage teams. And this is where you have your account settings. So if you're an account admin, a team admin, you'll be able to come in here, and this is where the element profiles are going to be stored. So this is where you can come in, make those edits, and create those packages. You have your system types. So maybe there's system types that you don't really use, so you don't want to see them. You can just disable them. Your budget estimator, which is where I mentioned, this is where you set your labor rate, your min-max budget range. And then you also have your settings for your global account settings. So you can say, hey, we're only going to use metric, or we're going to use the English Imperial. To get to your personal account settings, which is just you'll tap that on the right hand side, you'll tap your name there, you'll go into settings, and this is where you'll be able to turn on those comment emails. So you can turn them on, set the frequency, as well as set that specificity and sites of interest. So that's pretty much everything in System Surveyor. So now let's, Laura, if you don't mind, I think it's time we move on to that Q&A session. Any questions that people have while we're still in System Surveyor before we switch back to the PowerPoint and talk about the where to find the resources.
You bet, Jamel. Perfect. Thank you guys for your patience. We've had a few of the same questions on this one, but since cameras cannot see through walls, is there any way to block out the area that is going over the wall in the field of view?
A great question, and we get that a lot. And we do have, currently, that is not something that you can do within System Surveyor, but fear not, that is something that we are planning to release later this year. And the way that it will work, you'll be able to cut those area of coverages off to signify walls, maybe poles. So that is something that we are working on and we are planning to release later this year. I don't have an exact date. Laura, you might know. I know that
very soon. Well, it's so this question kind of goes hand in hand with this other question we have. Is there a big difference between using the system on the iPad? I use it on the iPad and I do see some differences on web. And honestly, everything that you see on version 2.0 on the app is going to mirror what you see on the web. That's coming this quarter. And as soon as that is rolled out, we will have quickly thereafter, we'll have the ability to cut out field of view so that it doesn't go through walls. So we have to get the web version mimicking the app version first.
Perfect.
Great. Okay. Does the tablet app work with the Apple Pencil?
Yes, it does. I was actually while I was using the tablet, I had a Apple Pencil myself, so it does work. And it also makes it a lot easier to manipulate your apps and everything, or your elements and everything. So it does. You should not fear, and take full use of that.
Yes. Can you create element names and model numbers?
Yes, so you can create not necessarily element names, but you can use those element profiles that I mentioned. So right under manage teams, under element profiles, and I'll use the fixed cameras here. You can add a profile, and so you can give the profile name and give a descriptive label, and that will up those the descriptive label will appear on the survey, but you cannot change the element name. But you can put the descriptive label, add in that component model number, the component manufacturer. I know I do have some clients that I work with that do include that model number in the descriptive label. So that is going to be your best bet for identifying those. And then, like I showed before on the survey, once you create this, they will appear in that drop down in the element attributes.
Yes, and anything with a star next to it is what will
Mhm.
save as an element profile, right?
Correct, correct.
Great. While we're there, or maybe you can answer, does it keep track of both dealer cost and sell price for elements?
So it does not, it won't separate those two costs out. I encourage people to put in uh, their cost, whatever price you're telling your customers is what I encourage people to put in to this device price section, just because we don't have a separate section for the two different costs. So that's what I would recommend, just also because this device price is also going to apply into that budget estimator range. So that's going to be, if you want your budget to be as accurate as possible for your clients, that's going to it's best to use whatever price you're going to tell them as the device price for this for the element profiles, as well as just in the survey itself.
Great. And then do cable paths account for going up and down multiple floors?
They will not. You would want to. It's only going to show, since the survey floor plan itself is specifically only one floor. You'd have to make either a note in that attribute section. So if I were to go back into this survey here, um, and we'll use this one. Oh, that one does not have a cable path, so I'll use this 1129. So if I wanted to go into this attributes here, your best bet is going to either under this functional section, you have notes, or even this installation, you have notes. Taking advantage of that is going to be your best bet. And then also maybe adding a second survey for the second floor. That's going to be your best bet, just because
We
this floor
have,
plan is just one floor.
yeah,
Go ahead,
Jamel,
Laura.
we have had people add extra cable path on both ends. You can add
Hmm.
extra length to demonstrate going up. Hmm.
And that'll be under this under the installation tab. You have this additional link, so that's something that you can do there as well. And then, like I said, maybe use that installation note saying the extra 25 feet is to go up a floor
Great, great.
or down a floor.
Okay. For web, can you show, oh, how will you send a copy of drawings to someone?
Absolutely. So if you're wanting to send, there's two ways to do that. One is going to be the reports, using the enhanced reports, doing a floor plan, or you can do the classic report, doing a layout. Or if it's something that they don't need forever, maybe you're sending it to a client. You can use this button here and do they send a link. So those are going to be two options to share and even give someone a copy. If you want them to have like a copy that they can download and keep for record keeping, probably best to use the enhanced reports and doing the floor plan, or even the floor plan with the legend or the classic reports. You can even do a high resolution floor plan, and that will give you like a JPEG of the floor plan itself.
Right, and of course, inviting as a guest user, sharing a link.
Absolutely.
Oh, what if you have two fixed cameras from two manufacturers? How would you create distinctive elements in that scenario?
So the best bet is going to be taking advantage of the element profiles. And each profile, because you can use different colors for the element and for the profiles, maybe so like Hanwha, we have them as blue. But if I wanted to use another one, maybe I want to use a GANs, I can come in and maybe I want that to be represented as red. And that's going to be your best. So now that's a red camera, and that's how I'd know. And then, of course, you can use, maybe the annotations or even just in the notes section anywhere, just saying, hey, red equals GANs, blue equals Hanwha. That's going to be your best bet in differentiating between the two manufacturers. And then also, you can use that descriptive label. So if I were to go into the attributes, I can use this descriptive label and say, and so now if I zoom in, I have in that descriptive label GANs, and then I have Hanwha over here. So those are a couple different ways that you can differentiate between the two manufacturers.
Great. Can you show us how to change the labor rates?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll save this, and to navigate to the labor rates, so we'll back out to the survey overview, back out to the site dashboard, and then to our sites, and we'll click this little profile here, manage teams. And under the budget estimator, this section here, right underneath labor rate, is where you change your labor rate specifically. And
Great.
then you just hit save and it will keep that change.
Perfect. How about a phone app?
We've had lots of questions about having a phone app. It's not currently available. It is something that is on our radar as far
Mhm.
as something we want to make happen, but realistically, it probably wouldn't be for another year or two, just because we'd have to sort of dedicate a lot of our dev team to that. But it is something we are looking into. But in the meantime, you could use the Safari on your phone. And I know that if you have like the Galaxy Fold phone or the Fold tablet, that will run the System Surveyor 2.0 app.
Right. It's just, yeah, the icons get very, very small on a cell
Mhm.
phone. So, oh, how long until the original version will be going away? And I think, we're gonna release the new web app or web version, and then sunset the old web version probably the quarter after, so Q2 sometime. But we'll definitely give you warning before that happens. Um,
Absolutely.
Mm. Oh, uploading elements is an issue for our team. I think they're talking about element profiles. Is there a way to do a separate training for that?
Yes, absolutely. We'll take note of who asked that, and I will
Mhm.
reach out and send you an email with my meeting link as well as some helpful videos. And then we can set up time using my meeting link. So that way we can get you
Yes.
that separate training specifically on importing those element profiles.
And we're going to show the Resource Center shortly, and all of our webinars that we've ever had are on the Resource Center, and you can go see. We had a whole advanced training just on element profiles, and creating them and importing them on our Resource Center as well. Let's see. Can you show in web version how to make a legend?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two different ways to make a legend. And I went into the wrong site there. So we're back in this new user site. So one way, and I'm going to use this floor plan just because it's got more space on it. So one way is, of course, doing the floor plan with legend. And I'll run this little report here just so you all can see. But one of the drawbacks is it's not going to take into account if you've changed those colors. Everything is going to be the same color that it is for that system type. So what I have told a lot of people to do is using the annotations, you can create your legend. So if we go into edit survey and we open these annotations here, what you'll want to do is first you'll want to create a sort of square for your legend. And then We can hit done. And what we'll want to do is we'll want to drag in the cameras. And then we want to hit none. Once this area of coverage pops up, we want to hit none. And then we want to go into the attributes and we want to get rid of this ID. So now it's no ID there. And then we can also, if you want to get rid of that, that little propose there, you can go into the attributes and just say and placed. And so now we just have that element itself. And then what you'll want to do, create a little text box here. And I just want to change that color just to make it nice and neat. And then we can change the size of that. So now we've created a legend for the fixed camera. And then if we wanted to, we have our cameras there, they're blue. We go into the attributes, we want to match that color. So now that is how you'd create a legend yourself instead of using the floor plan with legend. And then just when you run a report, you just want to make sure you include your annotations. And then, you can make that as big or as you'd need to, but as long as you remove that descriptive label or the element ID, you should be good to go for your legend. And then, you save. And now instead of doing that floor plan with legend, you can just do the floor plan report. And we want to make sure that we have everything included, including our annotations, which will be right here. And then we can create that PDF. We go on over to created reports and we have it there.
Great. Oh yes, we are recording this webinar. We'll be sending you an email usually by the end of the day, and you can rewatch this recording, of course. Can you have a colleague update info in an element?
Yes, absolutely. So if they are a user, they've also been invited, which I'll show you real quick how to invite another user. So you go to manage teams under users, you simply click this invite, fill out their email or multiple emails, just separate them with that comma, give them the team member role and hit invite. And it's going to give them an email. They click a link, they fill out their username and they create a password, accept the terms and conditions. And then they'll be able to sign in. And once they're in, you just need to make sure you release the edit. So as I am the owner of I am the editor, I simply need to either click these three dots and release the survey edit. So the edit's been released, or I can click into the survey and release the edit and hit OK. So now they can come in and claim the edit to begin making changes. Or if they don't have a license and they need to, maybe you're out sick or anything, something like that, you can then invite them as a guest user. Or maybe, they're not always going to need, I know a lot of people might use it for like their field techs that don't really need the full license. They don't need to create surveys, but they need to just go in and say, hey, this is now in place, or fill out, hey, we've marked this off, it's done. Just hit that new, fill out their first name, last name, email address. You can fill out other information if you'd like, and then just hit this toggle to invite them as a guest. And you'll want to make sure that they have edit permissions. If you're wanting them to come in and make changes, they will need that edit permissions. And then you hit add, and they will then get an email, and they'll just need to make sure they don't have System Surveyor open or logged in. And then once they click that link, they'll go in, create a password, and be able to sign in. And what they'll see is only the site that they've been invited to. So if I were to invite Laura as a guest, even though she's a user, but for this instance, let's say I invited her as a guest, she'd see this folder, but she'd only see that new user webinar site. And a one condition with the guests is the limit is 5 on our scale plan, and I believe it bumps it up to 10 on our enterprise. But so Laura could only be invited to 5 specific sites before I'd have to remove her from one site and invite her to another site.
Great.
Those are going to be the 2 ways for someone else to edit information on a survey.
Yes. Okay. Couple more questions because I know we're pushing time. Can you personalize the final design, like with our company logo?
Yes, absolutely. So to add your company logo, one of your admins will need to come in here, select that little profile in the upper left, manage teams. And under this user section, they can add the logo here. as well as change the name. And these will appear on the reports. So if we go back to a workbench and go into a report specifically, we'll do this one. Then we go into the report. Under the bill of materials, the photo tour and cable path, they will appear. So if you are on our enterprise, you can add a watermark and add watermark text. But if you're not, you don't no need to worry about it. You still get that cover page and you can say who is prepared for. And then as we create this, it'll have your logo if you prepared it for someone, and it'll have your logo here as well. But that's only on under the enhanced reports. It's on the bill of materials, the photo tour, and the cable path. And then on the class reports, you can also get it to appear. So if I did a summary or just a layout, and I export this, go to my created reports preview, it'll have my logo, and then my logo will be here as well as here. So those will be the two ways to get your logos to appear and make sure that it's a design by you and your company. But just another note, it won't appear on the floor plan or the floor plan with legend. So those are the two reports under the enhanced reports that don't have the logo appear.
Great. One more question. Which app should I be using on the Apple tablet? System Surveyor Classic or System Surveyor 2.0?
I always recommend System Surveyor 2.0. It's much more stable now. We put out new versions pretty frequently. As you know, with any technology, people discover issues or anything. We always try and get those worked out. But yeah, the 2.0 app is probably going to be your best bet, just because it does have some more newer features.
It has
And I
new
think the design is
features.
much cleaner.
It's on a more robust platform, and pretty soon
Mm-hmm.
Classic, we will be sunsetting the Classic app. So with that, we'll hop back to the PowerPoint just to show you a couple little things on the website, and then we'll let you go and have a great day. But Jamel, if you want to hop back to the PowerPoint. Perfect. Yes, as we mentioned, visit our resource center. You can access all of our old webinars, our advanced trainings on element profiles and collaboration. It's all in there. Also, all of our upcoming webinars are in there as well. And we also visit our partners page to see all of our available partners. You just go there and you can click on, say, their logo, and it'll take you directly to all their spreadsheets, which you can import into System Surveyor and access and use all their element profiles. And of course, we are partner agnostic. So if you don't see your favorite partner here, just click join the program and you can give us their information. We'd be happy to reach out to them.
Absolutely.
Great. And with that, thank you all for joining us. Obviously, we appreciate you taking the time. Do look for an email from us, which will include some helpful links and also our community trainings, which Jamel hosts every Tuesday. Show up for a couple minutes and ask your questions directly with Jamel, or show up for the full hour and hear what other people are asking. Anything I missed there, Jamel?
No, that's everything.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank
Bye,
you, Jamel.
everybody.
Bye-bye.